Good evening and welcome to the special edition of Metro Focus 2018, the year in review. I'm Jack Ford. 2018 has unquestionably been a roller coaster year in American politics. From the midterm elections to the reshaping of the Supreme Court to the Me Too movement. Metro Focus has been bringing you all the stories that matter, the only way we know how, measured, unbiased, and always with an eye on how politics impacts your state, your city, and your life. Tonight, we're going to take a look back and revisit the biggest stories of the year, both nationally and locally, from politics to culture, our crumbling infrastructure in the arts, and what all of that tells us about where we've been and, perhaps more important, where we're going. Here to help guide us through our look at the political highlight reel that was 2018, two of our favorite and frequent guests here on Metro Focus. From City and State, political reporter Jeff Colton, and Metro Papers and columnist and author Ellis Henican. Gentlemen, welcome to all of you.
Hey,
so we're going to try and fit a really busy year into this segment here. So let's jump. Ellis, I'm going to start with you. I've seen where you talked about this being the year where the walls began to close in on President Trump. What do you mean by that?
Don't you feel it? I bet you he does, right? I mean, listen, special counsels do not work quickly. Right? But you know what? They eventually tend to get results. And certainly 2018 was the year where that creeping investigation really began to show guilty pleas, indictments, jail sentences, and boy, a lot of nervousness in the White House.
Yeah, and as you said, you look at it, and again, these things are very slow, and then they seem to pick up
crash right in your face. Yeah.
Let's talk about in New York here. And there was a great deal of attention, understandably paid to the midterms. We're going to talk a little bit about nationally the impact, but how about locally? Let's talk about it in Albany. What are we going to see, do you think? What's happened and what's it going to lead to?
Well, sure. The story about Albany is a bunch of new faces. There's 17 new state senators. That's more than a quarter of the body, and that's pretty shocking in a legislator that very rarely sees turnover. You know, basically, if you're elected, you can stay in for as long as you want. Except this year, 17 new faces. Vast majority of those new faces are Democrats. Democrats had a wide turn. They won 8 seats over the Republicans. So that's shifting the state Senate from a Republican majority to a Democratic majority. That means that we now have a Democratic governor, Democratic Assembly, Democratic State Senate. That's going to lead to probably some liberal changes to New York. A lot of those laws that have not been able to pass in the past, next year, 2019, we may see them happening.
But does that mean, I see a lot of people saying, oh, okay, Democrats across the board, that means everything is going to get passed. This is Albany. Does that mean everything is going to get passed?
This is Albany. There's certainly still disagreements on big issues, such as how to fund the MTA, exactly how much to tilt rent laws to favor tenants. There's lots of the minutia that really still needs to get worked out. And there's also so many issues on the table that progressives in this state have been wanting to tackle for years. So, you know, we're going to see a productive session, I would say, in Albany, but not everything is going to be achieved.
Ella, same type of question, but nationally now. Midterms, and now we have a split Congress here. What can we envision?
Well, the one thing we can't envision is a lot of legislation being turned into law, right? I mean, that's what's going to go on in Albany is not going to happen in Washington. But really what we have is a Congress now that is prepared and, in fact, eager and damn near insistent on holding the president's feet to the fire. So a guy who just spent 2 years sliding along without a lot of challenge in Washington is going to have nothing but challenges.
What will that mean practically? You sort of touched on it in the beginning. Are we now going to see, you know, we've talked about gridlock before in Washington. Are we just going to see a complete lockdown? We have a Republican president, we have a Republican Senate, and a Democratic-controlled Congress. Will anything come out of that?
Probably not, but, you know, nothing came out of the last couple of years, so I don't see that as a huge change. What's going to change, really, is the aggressiveness of the tone, the public nature of the challenges, and I got to tell you, those walls just keep closing in tighter and tighter on the president.
Let's come back to the notion of local and statewide. A lot of new faces, a lot of new names you've talked about. One, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, being labeled a rising star already, not yet even sworn in. Talk about that, and where do you think that she's going to be headed, and what other names might be popping up, do you think, in boldface?
That's right. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, Congresswoman representing Queens and the Bronx, she's gone from absolute obscurity. Even myself, you know, a local reporter, I barely heard about her until, you know, the week before she was elected. It was incredible. And now she has become this national figure, really pushing the Democratic, left agenda, pushing the progressive side of the party. She's already got, I think, 20 Congress members to sign on to the Green New Deal, this idea she's pushing. Very impressive, and I think all of New York is whether you love her or hate her, eager to see how she does when she becomes an actual working Congresswoman.
Yeah, it's interesting. We talked to her right after she had won the nomination, and getting a sense of a new person bringing in a new sense of energy to Congress. I think whether you're going to agree with her or not, this notion of new people coming aboard.
One note of caution on that. I mean, Jeff's certainly right. There's huge energy. She's wonderfully symbolic. I mean, everybody likes a young person doing good. But, Washington is still an institutional place. And when you arrive by slaying someone many in Washington liked, and your agenda suggests, hey, I'm not looking out for anybody else here other than me and my team, Washington has a way of getting revenge on folks like that in the long run.
Speaking of Washington and revenge, we saw a drama play out in terms of the nomination of Judge Brett Kavanaugh to become eventually Justice Brett Kavanaugh. Is this another sign? It seems like each time we see, and people forget, it wasn't that long ago that nominees to the Supreme Court didn't even appear in Washington before the Judiciary Committee. Their senator would show up, say some nice things about him, and everybody say, that's lovely, let's put this person on the bench. Is that another sign, do you think, of what we're going to see down the road?
Yeah, I mean, there were two pieces to this story, right? One, it was a Me Too story in a way, and frankly, kind of a setback for the Me Too movement. But it was also a step forward in the increasingly conservative nature of the United States Supreme Court. And if the politics are trending progressive and democratic, let me tell you, the courts are trending in exactly the opposite direction. It really is the last great hope that conservatives in America have.
And it's always, and we realize this now, it's always the lasting legacy. Because as we've seen, a president can push through legislation, next president comes in and says, that's gone. But when you get on that bench, you're not going anywhere.
Yeah, and he's not old.
No.
And speaking of next presidents, I mean, I think every candidate that's considering a run to 2020 was really very vocal about this Brett Kavanaugh confirmation. I'm thinking specifically about New York Senator Kirsten Gillibrand. She was very out there, very vocal, in opposition to approving Kavanaugh to the Supreme Court.
They're using it as a springboard. That's one of the things I wanted to mention locally, Kirsten Gillibrand. How about nationally? What sort of names do you think are going to percolate perhaps to the top looking ahead to 2020?
Frankly, it's an impossible question on the Democratic side. I mean, there are just so many names that I don't think there is an obvious candidate. I think if you and I were having this conversation, Jack, a year from now, it would be someone we wouldn't even think to name.
I think that's what's going to be interesting. Yeah. Looking forward to see who does percolate to the top as opposed to being considered a front runner right
Maybe
now.
Jeff knows. Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, we got a lot. We'll get you back to talk about some more. We want to talk with you. You've got City and State has their winners and losers coming out real soon. Want people to make sure they pay attention to that. We'll get you guys back and we'll have some more of this conversation. But it's always a delight to have you here, both of you. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Thank you.